Chapter 19. Who do you think you are, then? George looked askance at Alex as he said coldly, "You are nothing but a loser, you can't even watch your wife stray around. It's such a waste for Emma to be with you, why don't you let her go for her to be with me? I can give her whatever she wants." A layer of ice hovered beneath Alex's face. He started with a cold and deep voice, "I'll give you two choices. 1. Apologize to Emma and take back everything you said in front of everyone, or 2. I'll make your family's company go bankrupt. Decide now." Ha ha ha. Are you kidding me? Who the heck do you think you are to make my family go bankrupt? George laughed out loud as he shot a contemptuous glare at Alex. Obviously, he did not take Alex seriously. Are you out of your mind, you crazy piece of shit? Are you daydreaming? Do you have any idea what our company's net worth is? What can you do to make us bankrupt? Ha ha. Alex wore an inexpressive expression on his face while looking at George for a while as if he was looking at an idiot. Then, he retrieved his phone and called Nolan. "In 2 minutes, I want to see the bankruptcy and liquidation of the Alexander family's business. Let their debts hit the ceiling." 2 minutes to make a company with a net worth of billions go bankrupt was utterly impossible. George glared back at Alex in great dismay and said, "Damn, you are so full of lies. Do you really think you are the ultra-rich man on the internet?" Then, he continued coldly, "Loser, stop pretending, I'll give you two choices too. 1. Kneel and apologize to me, then divorce Emma immediately. 2. I'll get someone to beat the hell out of you and cripple you, and let you see for your pathetic self how lovely and sweet Emma is with me. Decide now. I'll give you a minute to consider your options." Alex glanced at his watch and said, "You have 1 minute left. Are you sure you don't want to save your company even a little? Fuck off. You have 40 seconds to decide. If you don't get on your knees right now, I'll make you regret it forever," George threatened. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Time's up. Don't blame me for being cold-blooded, you asked for it. George shook his collar and gestured at the bodyguards around him. He was ready to give the loser a good beating. Right at this moment, his phone suddenly rang. George was caught by surprise. He looked at his phone and saw that it was his father, so he quickly answered it. "Dad, I'm at the hotel now, where are you?" On the phone, George's father snarled indignantly, "Damn it. What the hell did you do this time? Who did you offend? Now all shareholders are selling our shares like hotcakes, our share price has fallen by more than 85%. Then, his growling pursued, "The banks suddenly came to our door to demand debt repayment. All partners have suddenly suspended their projects with us and halted the settlement. Our capital chain is broken. We're left with declaring bankruptcy and liquidation." Blood drained from George's face as he listened to the loud growl coming from the other end of the line. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead. "We're screwed. Completely screwed." George opened his mouth, wanting to ask something when he heard through the phone a sound of a siren followed by the sound of breaking the door. And the police officers asking his father to come to the station for an investigation. Suddenly, his legs went jelly and knelt in front of Alex. His phone fell to the floor and shattered. The night breeze was blowing lightly, his body and heart were cold as ice. Seeing such a scene, the bodyguards exchanged cautious glances and dared not to step forward. Trembling in fear, George asked Alex in a dispirited voice, "Who the hell are you, really? You did this, didn't you?" The onlookers were equally surprised. After taking a call, George Alexander suddenly knelt in front of the Richard family's son-in-law. What was going on? Alex looked down at him. Then, he bent slightly and whispered, "I gave you a chance to choose your option, but you didn't choose wisely. I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Please, please forgive me, please spare me. There's nothing between Emma and me, I never touched her. The contract with Diamond Group, it wasn't me who helped her. Everything I said was just lies. I made them up. Please, please, I beg you. Please spare me and my family." George knocked his head on the floor and apologized profusely. Never did he expect that a lowly son-in-law of the Richard family could have so much power and influence in his hands. A simple phone call was what it took to make his family bankrupt. When he lifted his head to look at Alex, he felt that the plain and emotionless face was more horrible than the devil. Someone who could ruin his family in a few minutes was out of his hands. He was not in the place to offend him. Alex shook his head and said, "You should be grateful, at least I spared your life. Otherwise, your whole family would be dead by now." George's face was as pale as a sheet of paper and his body was trembling violently. Alex continued in his cold voice, "To tell you the truth, yes, I am the ultra-rich man in the video. If you don't want to die, don't tell anyone about my identity or I can't promise you and your father will be alive until tomorrow morning. Mum's the word." Then, he patted George's face, stood upright, and walked into the hall, ignoring George. As for George, he crouched on the floor, completely stunned. He didn't dare to resist even the slightest against Alex's act to humiliate him. He watched as Alex walked into the hall and he quickly crawled into the hall too. He looked around frantically until he saw Emma. Then, he rushed towards her, knelt at her feet, and wailed, "Emma, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spread such ridiculous rumors about you. I have nothing to do with Diamond Group's project. Please, please spare me." Emma was taken aback by his abrupt reaction that she quickly dodged backward and stumbled into a warm embrace. Emma looked back and saw that the person who was embracing her was Alex. Alex saw her as soon as he came in. She was dressed to the nines and shone like a bright star in the crowd. She was so alluring and mesmerizingly beautiful. Seeing George rushing towards Emma, he quickly hugged her in his arms to prevent her from falling and glared at George in disdain. George hurriedly crawled away, fearing that he might enrage Alex again. Emma frowned in confusion. "What's wrong with him?" Alex whispered while holding her, "There must be something wrong with his senses, just ignore him." Although they were a couple, they did not have any intimate contact before. Emma blushed until her ears were red as she felt Alex's warmth circling her. Awkwardly, she wiggled her way out of Alex's embrace and said, Mr. Anderson from Diamond Group should be here already, I'll go have a look."